Hi, and welcome to Journey Forward with Jory Rose, where you will gain insights, tools, and inspiration to get unstuck and live your best life. Jory is a licensed marriage and family therapist with a passion for helping people cultivate awareness and authenticity so they can show up fully in all aspects of their life. And now, here's Jory.
Hey everyone, it's Jory Rose. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got so much I want to talk about, specifically as related to the upcoming school year beginning. So I know maybe not all of you have kids, but even if you don't, so much of today's episode is going to resonate in what I'm talking about as far as the continued challenges that we are all facing related to COVID and all of the newness that we're having to figure out how to accommodate and how to be able to create some routine and structure when nothing at all feels normal. So I also want to start off by letting you know, perhaps if you tune in each week, you heard that last week I was offering a training for parents. And I actually want to give you a free gift by gifting you this training because there's actually a small fee attached. But to my exclusive listeners for the Journey Forward with Jory Rose podcast, I want to thank you so much as being part of this community. So please check out the show notes and you will get a code and you can click on the link to download the training. Now, let me tell you, I actually have a huge announcement, which I am super excited about, which is going to, I'll go more into detail towards the end of the episode, but I want to let you know this up front because all the information I'm talking about today, whether or not you are, like I said, whether or not you're a parent, whether or not you are interested in joining the membership, these tools are amazing. So here's what I have created because I know there are so many people struggling right now, working parents figuring out how do I manage it all? How do I take care of my own responsibilities? And now that school is either remote or a hybrid of both remote and in person, or even if it is in person, there's so many social restrictions that kids are going to be struggling because, again, this doesn't feel normal. So I am super excited to announce to you guys that I am offering a year-long parenting membership because here's the reality of what we know. There's a lot of shit going on in the world right now, and it's causing a lot of people stress and anxiety. And emotions are contagious. So if parents are stressed, then guess what? Their kids are stressed. And what I also know for certain is how the brain works. And when our emotions have taken off, like that stress, anxiety, overwhelm, frustration, annoyance, irritation, you name it, it shuts down the part of our brain where we focus, where we pay attention, and where we learn and retain information. So if there's any amounts of stress and anxiety in your home right now, guess what? It's making it harder for everybody to get their job done, whether it's a working parent, whether it's a kid trying to do schoolwork remotely. And so because of this challenge, I have created this incredible membership for parents that this is really timely information because this episode that you are listening is going live on Monday, August 16th. Up until this Friday, August 21st, I am offering exclusive founding member pricing for this membership of only $33 a month, which you guys is a mere fraction of what it costs to work with me on an hourly rate. And I know that there is so much in need. And partly how I know this is because my private practice since COVID began has literally doubled. So that tells me that even in times of stress and financial uncertainty, people need tools. So this membership is literally a mere fraction of my hourly rate at only $33 a month. And what I'm offering are trainings, 2 live calls a month, whether it's going to be Ask Me Anythings or hot seat coaching or a group coaching call, weekly journal prompts to deepen the tools in self-reflection, meditations to help cultivate your mindfulness practice. There's also going to be meditations in there for kids. You're going to get part of the exclusive community. All of this is in the show notes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it later on in the episode, but I want to give you the heads up. Check out the show notes. Get the free training link to the training exclusive for you guys and check out the membership. Because everything else I'm going to be talking about today is going to be relevant in the things that you guys can learn. And even if you don't have kids, this membership would still benefit you, because it's really how to cultivate a mindfulness practice, how to cultivate the tools for greater resiliency, to be more patient, to be more calm, to be more present, to not get stuck in rumination of the past, to not get stuck in fear and anxiety of the future and on the unknown, how to calm down the brain to get present so you can enjoy your life, because even in the midst of COVID, we're still living our lives, and we've got to continue to live in a way that feels accurate to what our needs are, as far as how conservative we're being as far as distancing, and we've got to find a way to be resilient within this challenge. Because, okay, now jumping into the content of today's episode. There is, as I am a mindfulness teacher, I really do my best to hold integrity to the foundation of this practice in Buddhist meditation practice. And here is a tenet that is foundational to these practices, and it's the idea that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So let me say that again. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So what does this mean? Well, as we know from our Buddhism 101 of how the Buddha discovered these tools, and he came up with the Four Noble Truths. Truth number one is that suffering exists. Now, suffering exists because pain exists in the world, but the level and the degree to which you suffer is actually up to you. Just because there's challenges going on in the world does not mean your suffering has to be at a level of 10. So even though the noble truth number one, that the Buddha's foundation of all of these practices is founded on, even though suffering exists, the extent to which you suffer is actually up to you, because what he did discover is there's a cause to the suffering. If there's a cause, there must be an end, and then the Eightfold Path, which is the way that we get out of our suffering. But at the root of this is that life is hard. Life sucks at times. Things get shitty. Pain is inevitable. But how much you let that pain take over can completely be up to you. Now, this is not to disparage anyone who is really stuck in some massive suffering, whether it be health-related, financial-related. I don't want to make you feel like, oh, just, take a deep breath and all's going to be better. And at the same time, how you respond to the suffering impacts how it impacts you. Because here's another foundational tool in Buddhist thought. And it's the idea of the first dart and the second dart. Now, the first dart is simply what life throws at you. For example, a worldwide pandemic. That's the first dart. The second dart and every dart thereafter are the ones that we throw at ourselves. Why is this happening? Why am I having to suffering through this? I don't like this. This sucks. How am I going to manage all of this? My kids are struggling. What do I do in the future? How am I going to plan for my kids' college? How am I going to get my work done with my kids at home? Whatever it is. The second dart are the ones that you throw at yourself and asking mostly the question of, why is this happening? The true suffering does not come from the first dart. The true suffering comes from the second dart. Now, no one likes a worldwide pandemic. And yes, that is inevitably going to bring suffering. So how do we stop throwing all those second darts at ourselves? How do we stop from contributing to our suffering based on just the curveballs that we've been given? Well, the first step, as I always say, is going to be awareness. If you're not aware that you're throwing all these second darts at yourself, it's going to be hard to stop it. So as I always say, awareness is key. You can't change what you're not aware of. Now, as you probably heard me say over so much of this podcast, if you have awareness with judgment towards yourself, you're going to go right back into the cycle of reactivity. If you can have awareness with compassion, that is going to be the pathway to get you out. So what does awareness with judgment versus awareness with compassion look like? So recognize we've got a first dart. There's a worldwide pandemic. The second dart might be, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I can't do this. How am I going to manage school? How am I going to manage the kids? I've got all this work to be done. Awareness with judgment would be to say to yourself, oh my God, there I go again. I'm stressing out. Why do I always do this? I never can get it right. I'm always getting myself stuck. Why does everyone else seem to have it easier than me? I know that I always keep doing this and I'm getting stuck in this pattern. Okay, so yes, that's awareness, but that judgment you're adding on, that tone of voice or the comparisons, is going to continue to throw darts at yourself. If you are, however, able to have awareness with compassion, then you start to slow down the darts, or the second darts, right? So awareness with compassion sounds like, oh man, look at that. I keep having all these thoughts and I keep ruminating on all these things I can't control. And oh, wow, this is really hard right now. Wow, I notice the more I have a difficult time accepting what is, the harder time I have as a result. Oh God, this is really, really painful. This is a really difficult situation. And I'm wondering if I can respond differently to it. Because look at my thoughts. They keep taking me all over the place. So you may not say all of that to yourself. However, the tone in which you honor that awareness is going to be able to start to shift your experience to it. Because as we know, acceptance is one of the ways to decrease our suffering. When we can begin to accept what is, the second darts begin to slow down by themselves. Now, to accept a worldwide pandemic, to accept the first dart, maybe the first dart is your kids being home for remote learning. Maybe your first dart is a decrease in work because related to everything kind of closing or slowing down. Acceptance does not mean you have to like it. It just means you stop fighting it. Because all the second darts are kind of like fighting what is. It's either getting angry at, or it's defending against, or it's ignoring, in which you're completely like in denial and resistance. Or perhaps you're in judgment of it. Or you're taking it super personal. Why me? Why this? Why does this always happen to me? Why can't I ever get ahead? Right? Those are all examples of second darts. So I want to help remind you, the first darts are going to continue to come. It's simply part of life. Pain is inevitable. But suffering, as we said, is optional. And it begins with awareness of the second darts we continue to throw at ourselves. So I invite you to just begin to notice your patterns. You don't need to change them yet. Just increase your awareness of your thought patterns. Because here's what I know happens. And if you've been listening for a long time, you may have heard me say this before, but I think it's really important and a valuable visual to consider. Imagine a cycle, right? Well, thoughts and sensations in our body and emotions, they are happening almost instantaneously in relationship to one another. Maybe you have a thought that comes in your mind. The thought leads to feeling sensations in the body, like a pit in the stomach or tension in the chest or tightness in the throat. The emotion then becomes sadness or anxiety or anger, right? This happens almost instantaneously. And what often happens is a reaction. The reaction might be denial, it might be judgment, it might be, again, asking the question, why? As soon as you are in judgment of your thoughts, as soon as you are in judgment of your sensations in your body, as soon as you are in judgment of your emotions, those reactions only make it bigger, and you get spiraling deeper and deeper into the cycle of reactivity, going down this rabbit hole of second darts, like that just keep going. Now, the cycle can be broken. And again, I said it a few moments ago, it starts with awareness. So if you are having the thought, oh my God, how am I going to get through remote learning for my kids while I've got to manage all of my work responsibilities while working from home? If that's the beginning thought, the emotion might be this, or the sensation in the body might be this sense of dread in the body, maybe a heaviness in the heart, or tension in the shoulders, or a headache, or a pit in the stomach. The emotion might be sadness. Oh man, I wish we didn't have to start the school year like this. I'm really getting depressed. When is this ever going to end? Right? So the sadness or depression, or just the fear, how am I going to do this? So again, those thoughts, sensations, emotions, or maybe it comes first. Maybe it's an emotion of depression, which is leading to the thought, how am I going to manage this? Which is leading to the tension in the shoulders. Or maybe you're starting off noticing a tension headache, and then you're going, God, why do I feel like this? What's going on with me? And then you pick up on the emotion of sadness. So whatever direction it starts in, just remember, thoughts, emotions, and sensations are almost immediately showing up at the same time in our body. But how we respond to those matters. Because again, we're trying to get ourselves out of that cycle of reactivity so we can actually come to a place of greater peace, come to a place of greater patience with ourselves and the situation, and come to a place of responding mindfully, intentionally, with greater compassion and awareness and loving kindness towards ourselves and the world in this situation that we're all facing. It's easier said than done, but it is a practice. So I just, again, invite you to notice what are the second darts you're throwing at yourselves, and ask yourself, how can you slow that down? How can you quiet down that habit so we can come to acceptance of the first dart? Once you get to acceptance of the first dart, again, you don't have to like it. You're just practicing accepting it. Then you've calmed down the emotional brain to be able to access your resources and your tools. Because if you're in reactivity, you can't get to your tools. Because remember, the emotional brain, when that takes over, it shuts down executive functioning. Executive functioning is where we've got logic, reason, rationality, decision-making, clear thinking, language, communication, learning and retaining information. So if you've got all these stressors at home and you're stuck in stress and anxiety, you're literally not going to be able to be as focused and productive as you'd like, nor will your kids. Because remember, emotions are contagious. You pick up on the emotions of the people around you. So also be mindful of the energy you're picking up and where you might need to create a little protective bubble around your own energy so you can have compassion for someone else's without you taking it on. And positive emotions are contagious, but the more difficult ones tend to be easier to pick up on. The emotions like the anxiety, the stress. And here is where another issue comes up. I see this a lot with a lot of my clients, and I really want to challenge this belief because it's really easy to believe that even if we're feeling stressed and anxious and overwhelmed or depressed or whatever it is that's causing your second darts to continue to fly, we often feel like we have to put on a brave face and always be positive for the people around us. So consider for a second, is this something you do? Do you push down your emotions for either fear of others seeing that you're feeling so deeply? Or do you push down those emotions for fear that it's going to make others feel bad too? Do you push down those emotions because you don't want to acknowledge them in yourself, let alone someone else view you experiencing those emotions? And then I want to ask you, what is it that you are seeking most in any relationship you're in, whether it's with relationship to yourself, whether it's relationship to your partner or your spouse, whether it's relationship to your kids or your family or friends? What is it you seek most in your relationships? Because I know from so many people I've worked with over all the years, what I see people seeking most is connection. People want to feel loved. They want to feel accepted. They want to feel seen, heard, and validated. And yet we're afraid to show up as our true selves. I recall in the Brene Brown Call to Courage Netflix special, she says, and I'm not probably just going to paraphrase it. It's not going to be perfect as she might word it. But she says, we all want to be loved, but we're afraid to be seen. Which means that we are not showing up in vulnerability because we're afraid if we're vulnerable, if we show what we're really feeling, then we may not be accepted, that we might be judged. Or even, like I said, even in relationship to yourself, that you're not going to accept yourself. You're going to continue to judge yourself. So what people try to do as a perceived antidote to not being judged or fearing not being accepted is they don't express their true selves. It's out of self-protection. And what is the result of this? Well, unfortunately, it comes at the cost of deeper connection, because that vulnerability breeds connection. When someone can see us, they have the ability to go deeper with us. And if we have a better time honoring and accepting our own emotions, then someone else is going to have a better chance of it too, because we also teach people how to treat us. So if I'm treating myself in such a way that I'm not honoring what I'm feeling, how on earth can I expect anyone else to honor what I'm feeling if I'm not? So if I'm always putting on a brave face and thinking, if I'm putting on a brave face, then I am showing up in positivity to keep the others around me positive. Is that really what you're doing? Or are you really role modeling to your family, to your friends, to your loved ones? Hold in how you're really feeling, because we should just stay happy. We should just stay positive. That's not always the real case, because real life happens. And in real life, it's okay to not be positive all the time. There's a difference between wanting to stay optimistic. You can be optimistic and not always be positive. You can look for the silver lining, but I invite you to first feel the feelings that you're feeling. Feelings are meant to be felt. Emotions are part of being human. And if you don't show up in authenticity, honoring what's real, then how can you expect anyone else to learn the tools around you to honor you, and better yet, how they can do it for themselves? So as parents, if you have the mindset that I'm going to stay positive, I'm going to always put on a smiling face, then really you're teaching your kids to squash down their difficult emotions because they're not able to be expressed. I know it's hard because we fear being judged, we fear not being accepted, or we also fear that the floodgate of these difficult emotions is just going to seep out of us and we're not going to be able to contain them. So this is where self-compassion comes in. And with the work of Kristen Neff, she says we can just dip our toe in the water and we can pull it right back out again. So this is not to say you have to just, dump your entire emotional selves on the floor in front of people around you, but you can let it out when it's authentic, when it's honest to your current experience, because this role models to others that you will accept them for expressing how they really feel as well. So I'm a mom who is really under the belief that I want to role model to my kids to fully be authentic in their experience, and that I want to honor what they're feeling. I want to give them room to express all their emotions and thoughts, not just the easy ones, not just the happy ones, but whatever one is really showing up in the moment. And I want to share a story with you in which I actually role modeled this. Because again, parents are not role modeling the behaviors they want to see in their kids. They're saying, tell me how you feel, but I'm not going to show you how I feel. Because I'm the adult and I'm supposed to have it all together, which means you're supposed to have it all together when you're an adult too. I mean, it's just a false sense of what it means to be human. So a couple months ago, back at more of the height of COVID when it first began, there was a day that I was having a really shitty day. Part of it was a job opportunity, or not necessarily a job opportunity, but just an opportunity that I was really hoping for didn't come through. And my daughter got some really bummer news about some programs that she was supposed to be involved in that, due to COVID, had to completely either get stopped or really had to just pivot in how it was going to happen. And I want to say there was something else that went on at that moment too, but at the moment I can't really recall. But there was like 3 or 4 things that were going on at once. And I was in it. I was just feeling the emotions, and being human, I let myself feel them. And I was crying. And my 16-year-old daughter came in my office and she said, "Mom, what's wrong?" Now, I know many parents in this situation would wipe away their tears, kind of buck up the look on their face and say, "Oh, nothing, honey, I'm fine. Don't worry. I'm going to be just fine." And they would shut down what they were actually feeling, knowing very well it was obvious that they were upset about something, which again would have role modeled to their child to shut down their difficult emotions, that those don't have room in our house or in this relationship. But I didn't do that. I cried. And I said to my daughter, "I'm really sad right now." And I told her how sad I was for the loss of her opportunities, as because of COVID, that she wasn't going to be able to have. I expressed to her my sadness at this, opportunity that I was really hoping to come to fruition would have happened. And my 16-year-old daughter sat down on the floor next to me and said, "Here, Mom, come here. Let me give you a hug." And she held me, and I laid my head on her shoulder as I cried. And my 16-year-old was comforting me, and it felt amazing. And the interesting thing is, earlier that day, when she got the news that her program was canceled, she was putting on a real brave face. But later that night, after she held me, when I cried expressing my sadness over this very real loss, she came downstairs and she started to cry and said, "Mommy, I'm really sad." And so I sat and I held her as she cried. And I really believe that my authentic expression of what I was feeling really allowed her authentic expression of what she was feeling. So as parents, we feel the need to hold in our own emotions. And what is it really role modeling to our kids? And as this relates back to this idea that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional, holding in our emotions increases our own suffering. Holding in the emotions and not letting ourselves feel what we are authentically feeling is continuously throwing second darts at ourselves. Judging ourselves, saying, "I should be able to handle this better. Why am I still feeling this way? Why can't I pull my shit together?" So I invite you, rather than ask why, rather than judge, let's turn down the volume on all those second darts. And let's just come to greater compassionate acceptance to whatever first dart is arising. And I know it's hard, but it's possible. So I hope that this resonated with you. I hope that you were able to feel what I was feeling in that moment when I was able to get deep comfort from my daughter, because I know many parents would feel way too vulnerable to cry in front of their kids, let alone accept comfort from them. That does not make me weak as a mother. That does not make me emotional as a mother. That makes me human. And that humanness allows my daughters to be more human, knowing that I will accept and allow and honor and comfort all of their emotions. And the key in this authentic expression of emotions is not always trying to fix it. When someone just tries to scoop in and fix the emotion, that's kind of a judgment by saying, "You shouldn't be feeling this still. Let's figure out how to make it go away." When in fact, the way to make those emotions slow down, the way to get those second darts to stop being thrown at yourself, is to just honor them and accept yourself. So this is something that I am so passionate about giving people the tools and how to increase this mindful awareness, because to me, this is mindfulness in a nutshell. It's honoring what's arising without judgment. It's accepting whatever's happening in the present moment without pushing it away or trying to be somewhere else. And as we continue to face these challenges due to COVID and the school year starting with remote or hybrid learning, the emotions and these challenges are going to continue. And I want to be there to help parents to support themselves so they in turn can support their kids through all of these challenges, because ultimately I know everyone just wants to have peace in their home. Everyone wants to be able to have ease amongst the challenges. And especially if everyone's going to be working from home, or mostly everyone's at home, we want it to be productive. And it can happen. And I want to help you make that happen. So I would love to invite you to be a founding member of my Journey Forward to a Peaceful and Productive School Year year-long membership for parents. Please check out the links in the show notes. If you want to check out the training, it's about 30-minute training. Comes with a PDF for you to download so you can follow along and take notes, little cheat sheet as well. And here's a really special offer for you guys. Check out the training. There's the coupon code. I offered it to you for free. Once you download the training, there's going to be an option for you to check out about 15 different videos that are in module 0 of the membership. You can get complete access to those for free. You can't download them, but you can check them out. In that covers an introduction to mindfulness, introduction to what meditation is, understanding our brain. There's some meditations, including audio files of just the meditation for you, for mindful breathing, for your kids. So there's meditation for kids. But the incredible special thing that is amongst that module 0 is my 7-session series of patient parenting course. Now this course originally can be found on the Simple Habit app. But for this membership, it is now a video course in which I've expanded it. So you guys don't only get the training for free, but you also get access to all the Module 0 videos completely for free to check them out, to say, hey, do you like what you see? And if you do, up until Friday the 21st, you can become a founding member of the Journey Forward to a Peaceful and Productive School Year membership. And if you happen to listen to this after August 21st, guess what? Through the end of August, you can still be a member. The price is going to go up a little bit. There's going to be one more price increase through the end of September. Otherwise, the doors are going to close on this offer for the school year. You'll have to wait till next school year to join. I know so many families need these tools, and I know I can help teach them to you in the best way possible, where they are relatable and attainable and integratable into your everyday life. So thanks so much for tuning in today, you guys. I hope you found this valuable and helpful. Please, if this spoke to you, share this episode with anyone who you think really needs to hear it. Please, I would love a rating or review. The more people we can get listening, the more people can gain the tools to create greater peace in homes. Because you know what, you guys, this is our new normal. COVID's not going anywhere, not anytime soon. And the effects that we're experiencing are going to be lasting for a while. So it's time to pivot, to adjust to what is. We can't just go back to the way things were. So acceptance and presence are key, and I'm here to guide you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Talk to you guys next week. Be well.
To continue your journey forward, find Jory Rose on Facebook and Instagram to become part of her growing community. You can also gain access to her meditations, books, online classes, or to sign up for an upcoming retreat, visit her at joryrose.com. That's JOREEROSE.com.